We're in for a bang, I guess. Hot Takes Code Wallets, episode 11. Hello, everyone. My name is Wemiak. Actually, episode 11 is kind of insane. But in case it's the first time you tune in into the show, I'm Wemi. I'm your host of this interview format where we talk about latest security stuff going on in the space. We talk about tools, we talk about threats, we talk about trends that we see. And today I brought you Juan, who's doing growth at Chain Patrol. Hi, Juan.
Hey, Wimi. Hey, everyone. Great to be in another episode with all of you. It's Wimi Sell. Told this, excited for this. Can't believe this also episode 11. Quite some time since we did the first. Yeah, markets are not the best right now, so we are going to touch this in a little bit. So yeah, excited for this episode.
I also bought in Redzin, which comes in handy because he's also teaching at the Boring Security DAO, which I'm a part of. Hi, Redzin. Thank you for taking the time.
Thanks, Wim. Yeah, I appreciate the invitation, and yeah, pretty excited to be here. First time being here, but yeah, hope I can be around for future episodes as well. And yeah, actually, I've been working with Wimi for the past couple years already. So yeah, pretty excited to be here. And yeah, as Juan said, market is not the best right now, but actually that's a big opportunity for some, right? So yeah, let's dive into that as well.
Yeah, for sure, gonna be talking about markets. But first, we want to talk about the latest. I always talk about the latest when we start into like an episode. And yesterday, I read that Substack had a data breach with 700K records being included, which included names, email addresses, and phone numbers, which is not something you want to like if you are in Web3 and you have been following us for a while and you have been following the show for a while. And if that was not enough, Flickr today, they announced a data breach as well. And the breach included names, emails, and IP addresses, which kind of like gave an approximate location of you, which is bad, especially the Flickr one. Juan, Redzin, maybe one quick take from your side. I think if especially the Flickr one for a service that isn't actively used that much anymore, I think these breaches probably are the worst because people at some point might forget that they even signed up to a special service, and the data gets compromised with the email addresses or the name or the IP, etc. And I think this kind of breach is something that might come back to haunt you when you're in Web3 or pivoted to crypto now. What's your
Yeah.
take?
Yeah, I mean, spear phishing is something that has been around for forever, and and I see over and over people getting compromised because scammers, they also evolve a lot. So sometimes they, with your full name and email address, they can also dig and find other information from you. And with their IP address, if they understand that you have some crypto holdings, there might be even something even more sophisticated where they even try to kidnap you, which is something that we've been seeing more lately. So yeah, and for the other breach as well, phone numbers, we know that doesn't work well with SynSwap. uh I think SynSwap hasn't been on the rise, because I think the companies, they are more, um, they are more used to it, so I don't think it's that easy anymore as it was in the past. But still, sophisticated scammers, they don't they have it's another layer of complexity in what they do, and they are much better than just common scammers, right? So if they have your information and they want to do something with that information against you, they will, so yeah, it's sad to see so many of those breaches.
It's interesting. I actually DM'd FFV and Jay Bond this morning because these two got their X accounts hacked last night. And I was asking them like, hey, did you have like a Substack account at any chance? Because the phone number was included and maybe they got breached that way.
Yeah.
One of them answered and said he didn't like knowingly have a Substack account. The other didn't yet, so maybe we might get some clarity on that one. But Redzin, do you think like, in generally speaking, with Boring Security, do we see like a rise in SIM swap attacks when we have like these big databases being breached, or is it like a normal day in Web3 to like people get exposed? Honestly,
Honestly, I think it's just another day. I haven't seen SynSwap on the rise. Actually, it's been a while since I last saw an attack of SynSwap. So So yeah, actually they are, since swap is a bit tricky because you also need to trick their phone carrier and talk with more people. So isn't something that just a scammer can do, talking directly with the victim. I think that they are avoiding a bit, and as I said, those companies, they are more enforcing probably more security measures. So not everyone can just go there and say, "Oh, this is my line. But can you please change the phone to this one?" And yeah, so I think it's just another day on Web3, to be honest.
Yeah.
Juan, Substack and Flickr,
Yeah.
they aren't like crypto companies, but the leaks, like, they often like lead to the fuel of crypto phishing. Like from your experience with Chain Patrol, how do these off-chain leaks basically fuel the on-chain leaks or the on-chain phishing afterwards?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I would say, first of all, there may be not like an obvious connection, mostly because, these like more traditionals, I would say, kind of data breaches, and there is no like information of like, okay, this is your Twitter account, this is how we can target you. In some cases, yes. So I'm like surprised that this person that you reach out on Twitter actually might have gotten something like this. And ultimately, I think that all this information is being shown on the dark web, and in a lot of cases, this information is like available even if you don't pay for that. Like scammers and hackers put this information up for free, and it's crazy how much information you can find if you want to do that. So I would say there is no obvious connection. Of course, we see like a lot of complex cases, like the one, for example, that was described with me by one of our guests in our previous shows, that is like really complex. I would say scams, like they know where you are, they know your phone number, they know who's your family, where they might be based, and so on. And that's like, I would say, the most impactful kidnaps and most impactful social engineering attacks actually happen. But I would say from our experience, these data breaches don't usually convert on like crypto theft going on. Like we see obviously a rise of like phishing websites being generated whenever a company has like a big launch or a big announcement. We see a lot also of impersonations of like team members, a lot of accounts being taken over like on Telegram and sharing you like fake links of Google Meet or fake Zoom links. That's like, I would say, our most common kind of scams, I think, in our space right now. But these data breaches don't usually convert into that. That's my thoughts in here.
I think that like the key takeaways that we have in this section is basically you should treat every email that you receive like as a phishing attempt, like especially when it's related to anything in crypto. Do not click on the links that are presented to you, especially if you're not like expecting anything to hit your mailbox. Use 2FA. And please do not use SMS as 2FA. We also teach this at the boring security classes, by the way. So if you have 2FA, you're always a step ahead of the majority of people. But if you use SMS, it's like the weakest form of 2FA that you can use. You should like pivot to YubiKeys or authenticator apps or passkeys or something like that, because it's just more secure than SMS. And as Redson said, like you can get SIM swapped in certain countries, like in Germany, for example, where I am. It's pretty hard to even like swap your own SIM. Like if you lost your own one, it's pretty hard. But I know there are countries where it isn't that difficult. So you always need to pay attention to like where you're currently at or where you're living right now, because this might happen if you have SMS as your two-factor authentication backup. Okay, next one, I wanted to talk about community management in Web3, and this is destined for you, Redson, especially when communities have become like the primary attack surface in Web3, I would say, like impersonators, voice cloning, fake account. It's everywhere. Like Juan, even you, like Chain Patrol, it's your main core, what you're doing, like protecting people from impersonation. And it's not just on X, it's not just on Discord, it's also on Telegram and other platforms. And Juan, maybe from your perspective first, communities are meant to move fast, basically, right? If you're talking growth, you want to grow fast, especially when we're talking about Web3. But in Web3, moving fast usually means we're getting scammed, because if we're moving too fast, we're likely to make mistakes, which at the end of the day might turn out like bad. Where would you say like growth is like actively increasing the risk of security? Like when a project maybe
Yeah.
first starts out, and then it's an overnight success, for example, and nobody paid attention to security in the first place, or when does that happen usually?
Yeah, that's a great question. In my opinion, on this is something that we recommend to our local clients. Like whenever they're having like really growth periods, it's only important not only to set up like marketing campaigns and marketing strategies, but also security to keep up with that growth. We know that it's highly usual in our industry to have companies have like executives being impersonated. We know that there is executives will probably be having like a Telegram account on the on official Telegram group, and they are going to be shown as their like official, the admins, the owners of the group. So it's highly probable that whenever that happens, a scammer will detect that and will start like creating all these phishing accounts and all these different fake accounts impersonating the founders. So in our opinion, is like the trust that you can provide to your community, the trust that it comes like with the growth that you're having, the strategies that you're doing on the marketing side of things, needs to be like having like a similar strategy on the security side of things. Because and we know this industry has like a lot of scammers, has a lot of people trying to take advantage of what you're doing, trying to sell like a lot of phishing websites. Whenever you have like a big announcement, let's say token launch, let's say big partnership, let's say mainnet, testnet, even these events attract a lot of eyes in the community, and don't having a security plan means that you will have like your community exposed. Some companies actually want to manage this internally. That's completely fine. But it's important to have like at least a plan and to have like backup plans of, let's say, we have detected 1 or 2 problems, what we are going to do next. So it's important, I will say, for growth teams and also for marketing teams to take into account that community is not always just to provide, I don't know, airdrops, free money to them, to have like different interactions and engagement on the chat, but also prove them that they are something important that they want to keep up safe. So that's why we recommend having security plans along with all the different strategies on the marketing side of things.
I think this is also where you can like hurt your brand pretty bad if you don't pay attention to security, and if you don't care about if there are impersonators about your brand or about your like special moderators and stuff. Because like if the end of the day, if your community falls for this kind of scams, it will always come back to you in a way, even if you are not like the one responsible for it. So yeah, they should care for security at the end of the day. Reds, and you as a community manager or even like a mod in Discord, often you're often kind of like a first responder to stuff that happens. You see a lot of tickets in the boring security Discord as well. So when someone says, "Hey, I might have been hacked, I clicked the bad link," what's the first thing that we guys usually like suggest to them at Boring Security?
Yeah, the first thing is probably do you use a hardware wallet? So that's probably the first question that you have to ask them, because if they use a hardware wallet, we normally they are okay on, at least on crypto side, but the rest of the stuff. So we always recommend then, okay, you downloaded something, you downloaded some sort of malware, you should first of all check what type of malware it is. So normally we just say, okay, just fully reset your computer, fully reset to the original, so it loses all, because most of those persisting malwares, if you fully reset it, it will stop working already. And after that, it's time for them to just change password and try to secure all of their accounts. Because normally those days malware, they are after your wallets, that's for sure. But they are not only after that, they are after your Telegram, your password managers, your Discord, your Twitter, any other information that they can find on your browser. So they need to act quick and understand and change the password and have 2FA in all of those accounts. Otherwise, it's actually what scammers do. That's why we see so many people so many accounts that keep posting scam or spam everywhere, because they get hacked, they download malware, and they don't take the measures to remove the attacker from their account. So it keeps spreading and more people keep doing
What's
it.
interesting is oftentimes, like I have the tickets on the boring security side of things, but I also have the tickets like in the Revoke Discord because I'm a mod there as well. And
Mhm.
oftentimes these people don't even realize they downloaded something wrong. They might just like
True.
they use their gaming machine, for example, for crypto as well, and then they downloaded like a mod or something for something which wasn't a mod but just a malware disguised as a mod, and then they installed the malware, and then basically they lost their stuff, and then they are completely clueless and ask like, hey, what happened? Hey, why did
Yeah.
like someone log into my email, or I don't know, like send money via PayPal or something, right?
Yeah, that's true. No, that's actually what happens the most for sure. So they don't even realize they downloaded some sort of malware until something starts happening, right? So, which is normally normally if they don't take action and the scammer starts doing stuff, sometimes it can be that they won't be able to recover a lot of stuff. If the scammer is able to access their email, sometimes even change their recovery email or do some things that will change. This happens a lot on Telegram, for example. That's why the Telegram scam is so effective as well, because we have been seeing the rise of that Telegram scam where people get their Telegram account hacked, and since Telegram they don't have a proper recovery method, you can't do much on it. That's why people get their account hacked. They can't do anything about it, and now the scammer full controls their account. That's why we always say that on security, prevention is the game, right? Is the key, because sometimes things can be unrecoverable. Same for crypto, same for Telegram, and yeah, hopefully there on other social medias we can do some stuff like Discord, Twitter, email addresses, but yeah, there are some of them that you really can't do anything if you're not doing the right if you're not following the right steps, right? So not having a hardware wallet, not properly securing your Telegram, not doing anything with it, or that might be unsafe in it. So yeah.
Wanted to pivot a bit more to the topic of public goods, or like the security part of marketing, quote unquote, in general. Juan, Chain Patrol, basically, you guys are blocking threats that people never see. From my point of view, like if I've recap all the stuff that I've done on like work with people in my DMs that asked for help, etc. How do you guys communicate like the value that you guys are bringing as a brand when the success that you guys are create is basically invisible? Because you are blocking the threats, you are blocking the scam websites, you are blocking the impersonators, and no one ever sees them. And you, while doing so, you have to market that
Yeah.
side of things to people like, hey, we are the guys who blocked the 500 account last year.
Yeah, that's good question. I would say in our case, we try to reflect this mostly to companies and to like brands in Web3, showing up like they're like protecting their community. Most of the case, I would say that we try to make announcements with these companies who are like concerned about security, showing up to their community that yeah, you're being protected. It's not like just this disappear out of nowhere, out of I don't know, purely magic, but we are like actively doing something to remove those things. And yeah, a lot of people actually don't know about this, but they can any person can check like any fake website or any fake profile on Chain Patrol. Like if they want to see if this is something that is malicious, they can easily check at the website is like Chain Patrol search. We can share the link afterwards, but pretty much it's helpful for any users to report any threats. And we also have like a helpline that anyone can call us. We have like an AI that can guide you also to different things, and that's something completely for free that we just are building up to protect community and also to protect like any users that are concerned about security. And also I wanted to expand this because I know that we are not the only ones building up tools that are not like only helpful for companies but also like as a public good. I know that there are like some auditors as well that put up like different resources, and they basically they're like independent and they put like some money in our treasury, and whenever like a company needs like support, they can reach out to them and see if they can actually provide like an audit almost for free, or in some cases for free. And I know that is something that is being extended a lot in our industry. And I think also like in this market, it's good to have like these approaches, because it's not only about like providing value and also like charging for that. It's also providing value and don't expect anything on return. Might Unless that is like, I don't know, like some appreciations in general in social media. Even if those doesn't happen, we and also all the security companies like to have that in place.
Yeah, Redzen, boring security is even a bit more complicated, because like I've been part of boring security for almost 4 years now, and you also been like part of the company or the thing like in the same time span. And I know like the last year 2025, not only for boring security, but I can tell this for Revoke as well, has been like incredibly challenging for public goods to get any kind of funding, because the market was not good. It's even worse now, which doesn't make it any better. But boring security is a public good, and to keep running, we are basically in the need of grants or people donating, and in the market like obsessed with hype and yield. How do we even keep people engaged with the boring work of security?
Yeah, no, that's it was really challenging last year, even 2024. I think it's been challenging overall. And yeah, the thing is that it's hard to find grants for us, because we normally don't fit into any category. Because okay, we teach people how to stay safe, we do free classes, and we have a lot of students. But at the same time, normally companies, their grants, they are looking to onboard new people, or actually teach developers, so we are not onboarding new people, we are helping people that are already in the space. And we are not teaching to developers. We are in a middle ground where it's hard to find those grants, and it's also hard for them to see the value, because normally, something that I was thinking about this topic is that normally the public goods, the 10% more the 10% more famous public goods are the ones that get most of the grants out there. So although there are a ton of grants that say that they are target for public goods, normally just the 10% of the most important ones or the most famous ones are the ones that actually keep getting those grants over and over. So the remaining of the open of the public goods, not saying that they're bad or anything, it's just that the ones that have more visibility, they are the ones that get all of those grants, right? So the ones that like us, Chain Patrol, Boring Security, which sometimes we do some good work, but at the same time we are not as recognized, for example, as someone like Zach XBT. We normally struggle to find those grants, and we are normally also the grants that try to accommodate us. Normally we are competing against each other, and it just diminishes the pie, and it gets worse for everyone, right? So yeah, it's been tricky, but we can't do much about it. So what we can do is actually just try to improve our work, try to show our value. So we are trying to expand to more classes. We are trying to get even more people, getting more partners, and even expand services, not only teaching classes, but also helping a project with their security training and a lot of other things. So yeah, that's what I see about public goods and with on grants and yeah.
The dilemma I see with the security work often is that people do not care when it's free. They don't value it if it's free. They actually would probably value it more if the courses were charged for or the product were charged for, because then, hey, I paid something for this, so at the end of the day I need to like get my ROI back or something. And this is like incredibly challenging. I think like my whole career in Web3, this has been like incredibly challenging to properly market the Web3 security side of things, because this is a question I wanted to ask you guys both, like for a short thought from your side, is if public goods would disappear today, like Boring Security, like Revoke, like many other services, Rotkey, for example, are a privacy tool as well. If they would like disappear today, what would you guys think the success rate of a Drainer would rise to?
Mhm.
There was like no one educating anymore, no one offering classes or materials or stuff. Juan, maybe you go first.
Yeah. Yeah, of course it will rise, mostly because you're trying to teach people like what they should do, what are like security steps on the prevention side of things. I would say it will be really, really hard to keep up like the Revoke Cache, also the work that they are doing. They are integrated directly in Ledger, for example, I know, and different things that you have running right now. And if that isn't available, like a lot of people will just keep on doing clicks on random protocols and not getting protected whenever things happen. And I would say that the job of actually knowing why they need to revoke approvals from time to time is something that wasn't even be possible to understand if there wasn't an education happening on that regard. Like I know that maybe I'm a little bit biased because I'm already on security, but this is like pretty spread that you should do a revoke whenever you have, like I would say, doing big approvals or doing like big transactions with money that matters to you. You should do that regularly. So yeah, I think if we don't have like the security education part of things, all of these like scams and all the money that the scammer can take, like from wallet drainers and other different scam activities that can happen, will of course rise up.
Yeah, I completely agree with Juan, and yeah, we can actually think that it would come into terms like it was on 2020, 2021, which was the rise of a lot of public goods and security. So before 2020, 2021, we didn't have that many available projects out there to try to help people to stay more safe. And yeah, it was a mess. It was a mess. Actually, those projects, they were created exactly because it was so bad that everyone was getting drained and they didn't know what to do. So that's why those public goods, like even Boring Security, was created because of that, right? So it started as uh, security for Bored Apes because so many Bored Apes were getting hacked that it was not they needed to do something, and then Boring Security was created because of that. So yeah, we would see a rise, and similar to what Wimi asked you, Juan, regarding it's a job that not many people see because we are working with prevention. So we are not able to estimate how many people prevented to be scammed, right? So because of that, it seems that it's worthless because okay, they are not getting scammed, so there's no data regarding to that. So it's hard to measure and to track that how many people actually remember about the class or remember or had or using one of the tools that were protecting them, and they were like, oh, this saved me from getting drained. It's hard. People normally are on automatic and then they don't think about it, right? So it's really tricky for us and really hard to measure as well for even for grants and to get more funding.
I think one in the Web3 security chat group called it shadow workers, which is like a great term for this because the guys are working in the shadows. No one ever sees them, but they are doing work and they are preventing people from getting their assets drained or stolen. So I would say, like a conclusion of this, we can probably state that prevention doesn't trend, but breaches do in this space. Like if someone gets breached, you can be sure that 50 KOLs will be tweeting about this, and they will all turn into security experts for one day, but one day only. And then they will never talk about it again. So yeah, maybe this is the time. Like we were talking about like the market and the shift of sentiment. Like a lot of people on the timeline, at least on my timeline, are pretty like fatigued with crypto right now. And I was thinking about, like, obviously I'm not free from this as well. It also hits me, and I'm thinking like, wait, man, what are we doing here? What are we spending the time on? But at the end of the day, maybe this is actually like the time to be doubling down on security and doubling down on the public goods side of things, because if the noise kind of drowns out, if everyone is down and less people are active and less people are posting, the people who are still here, they will probably now like be very much likely to see any security content. Even might that be Boring Security, Chain Patrol, tips, tricks, what we can do, 2FA, etc. And maybe this is just a time to like for the whole space as a whole to shift the narrative a bit into looking into these kind of things which are actually like useful to the space and not just extracting from the space, which is like a plague if you ask me. Okay, incentives to learn security is my next point, and then we are slowly coming to an end. But incentives to learn security, this is interesting for both of you, Juan and Red, because Juan, I think that you guys, you are like doing the brand protection and you're doing the blocking, you are doing like the killing of the accounts, so to say. But the only real lever we have is prevention, because if something happens in this space, it's too late. There's no way to like undo a transaction on the blockchain. We talked about that with JP in the last episode, that there are also like these recovery scammers. When someone got drained, they tell them, hey, we can recover your crypto. No, they cannot recover your crypto because the blockchain is irreversible. So Juan, what would you think, like maybe from your personal point of view, what kind of behavior would be a driver for people? Like, is it fear? Is it incentives? Or social proof, like POAPs or something? What would be like a motivator be for people?
Well, I will say one of the first and most important motivators is like the ROI on of getting like drained. If there are people that have been in crypto for a long time, they probably have a lot of funds that they want to have protected. So in that case, not losing your money due to a hack, I would say is really, really important. And that's like one good incentive. Then I would say from a community standpoint, there are some things that actually some of our customers are asking for us, and it's something that we are thinking on doing like more actively. That is like having dashboards of security. That basically means that we can price and we can do incentives to people reporting like fake threats or like fake phishing accounts, or like having like more active community engagement. Right now we have a few bots that enable us to do that like pretty easily, but of course, we want to have like this more exposure on this, on how this can work. So I would say monetary incentive is also something that we need to try to push more, at least from the chain patrol standpoint. And apart from that, personal view, learn security is really important for all aspects of life. I think it's been having some kind of knowledge that can avoid you getting in a bad situation, not only in Web3, but also in general, like in Web2, whenever you do in your life. If you know that you have like security measures to not getting phished in Web3, you will probably be extending this information to what you do on your day-to-day life. Like, I don't know, things as simple as not sharing your official email that you have maybe registered on centralized exchanges to the same email that you receive, like your, I don't know, subscription emails from Netflix or Spotify, wherever, like something like this, is something I think that Web3 teaches you. Like, you are not going to expose your information so easily. You are not going to be repeating your passwords so commonly across like all the different platforms. You know that all of these different things matter because you can get phished in one thing. You can have like a leak, as we were discussing at the beginning of this session, from one platform, and that can also guide you to leak all your other passwords and across all the other things that might be more important to you, like than a subscription. So all of this, I think, you might be learning this because you have involvement in Web3, but once you learn this, is something that you have for your entire life and your entire online presence in general, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's a good statement. I think like most people, Renan, also they learn when they lost money. This is like the harsh reality that we see. Like, people only care when it's too late usually. And as I said like earlier, like prevention has like terrible UX. so success is basically invisible, which is kind of rough. And I know that you guys or we guys at Boring Security, we teach like thousands of students. You did too, Redzen. You did in English, you did in Portuguese. Is there usually like an aha moment that students have during your classes? Where have you found something where people say like, hey, I never knew this. I wish I knew this before?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think normally on our 101 class where we cover more about operational blockchain, I think there are a few times, a few things, like when we're talking about permits, for example, when we're talking about approvals and signatures. I think overall signatures have been the biggest problem for people to really understand, to really grasp, because sometimes it's just a signature. People don't care about it, right? They think just because it's a signature, it can't do any harm to them. And that's why a lot of people get drained because of that, because it's a combination of lack of wallet hygiene with too many open approvals with a malicious signature. Then with all of those combined, they get drained and they don't even understand why, right? So I think that part of the class is a part where a lot of people, they actually act surprised and they are like, oh, I didn't even know about it. And I think also this shift over time. In the past, it was a lot of people didn't know about connecting our wallet to websites, and I even think the wallet's UI also are improving, right? So in the past, it was just a connect button. It didn't have any sort of any other information about it. It's just, okay, you're connecting to this website. We don't know what's happening, and people would propagate and say, oh, if you connect to a Drain website, you're going to get hacked, you're going to get scammed. It doesn't matter what you do, just connecting does that. And creating that fear is actually even worse for the space, because now we are fearing something that isn't even a reality. And the things that are important for us to fear and to understand how it works, we just forget about it, right? Because now we are fearing something else that isn't even something that can happen to you, right? So it's the same with, for example, just entering those scam websites and clicking a lot of links. We normally say clicking links is bad for you, but at the same time, if you click a bad link, it won't do anything to you, unless you interact with them, unless you download something, unless you connect your wallet and do a signature, do an approval, do a transaction. So I think sometimes we forget about what is important and focus a lot on not that we focus a lot, but people in general, they start to propagate things that aren't even real, and it just creates more fear to people, and it gets even trickier for them to understand what they really should look for in security.
It's a great point. Like this fear mongering, I would say, it's always there, and especially like I said earlier, when someone gets drained and they share their story. One, I would say, like, stories stick a lot better than like a checklist. Like if I post a checklist, here are 5 things you shouldn't do with your crypto, no one will give a damn. If a KOL posts, hey, my ledger got breached last night while I was sleeping, it will get like 1 million views in the space. Because like stories stick, and as Redson just said, they also, people, when they get scammed, they usually don't have all the details and nits and bits which are involved in this, and then they are just making a blatant statement like, hey, I have a hardware wallet, I got hacked, hardware wallets are unsafe. No, this is not the case. You probably like mishandled your seed phrase or something, or entered it into any digital space or something like that. But this is what paralyzes people, I would say, Redson, because one, there's always money involved. So if I do something wrong, then I'm getting drained or I lose money. And then like people are stacking narratives on top of that, and you don't even know what to believe is like true anymore, because usually people follow influencers because they have influence, as the name suggests, right? So they are believing these guys which are in crypto, which are making statements which sound like it's a fact, but it's not, because they are not aware of the details which are like included in the whole attack or whatever, which is, yeah, it's something I think we will never be out of work. I don't know if it will be like, if there will be grants or if there will be the market for it, but I think like the security work will never end, like for any of us 3 today.
I agree.
Let's talk about ownership, like as the last topic of today, because we touched upon this like very early on, that the market has been going down like rapidly in the last few days. And there also were like rumors on Twitter or on X where they said like, hey, might be a case where like on 10/10 like a major player blew up. I don't going to name any names because I'm not adding fire to any speculations here, and I don't know anything about that. But if there was like a big centralized exchange that blew up, I wanted to talk to you guys about like ownership, so self custody versus holding your assets in centralized exchanges, because stress in the market basically exposes who's your user and who's an owner of an asset, right? And Juan, maybe you haven't talked in a while, so from
Yeah.
your lens, is self custody maybe a bit like, is it still too scary for mainstream, or are the risks of centralized exchanges like the exchange like shutting down, winding down, are they like finally catching up where people say like, hey, maybe the fear of losing my seed phrase isn't that big of an issue if my favorite sex goes out of business today?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that some cases they try to be like justify that self custody is not like good, but you can just make the question to yourself like, if this shuts down and I lose all my money on and I need to make like a recovery process with legal fees and so on and legal time, blah blah blah, that will probably take a couple of years. Is this worth it? Is this worth it not to learn how to keep up my seed phrase, how to like have my own ownership? Let's say not even like a hardware wallet. Of course, with security, we'll recommend that, but it's like pretty easy to set up like a hot wallet with MetaMask, Trust Wallet, and other providers. It's like really simple to do so, and it's worth your time just to know where you can do it, and also then how you can protect that. I think like all of us were present when it was like FTX collapse in 2022, so we know how bad these things can be. Also, like a lot of DeFi platforms, like whenever you stake your money, that also fell in that period of time, and we know how dangerous it can be. So I would say it's especially important in this market where we don't know what can actually happen. We don't know where Bitcoin can drop. We don't know what can happen to all the different altcoins, which altcoin will survive, which altcoin will probably not. It's really hard to know this. I would say the next logic step here, because none of us can in any way predict the future in here. So I would say it's especially relevant in this market to know how to keep your funds safe and how to measure and how to manage your own funds. Because if you don't want to have like even the possibility of having like your money lost, even more if you have like a lot of your funds in a centralized exchange compared to what you have in your own ownership, it's really important to have like your keys.
I have a spacey question for both of you. So I prepared perfectly for this moment. So if you guys had to choose, you have 10K in a top tier centralized exchange or 10K in a hot wallet with 0 backups. What's just like the lesser risk and why?
Well, my answer will be quite simple, but it has a good reason. I have a dog. That dog can eat the hardwood wallet in any time. So if that dog is quite crazy right now, wants to buy the hard wallet and I don't have any backup, I will just lose my funds. So I think if I don't have any backups, probably the exchange might work best for me. I know it's not the answer that you were expecting, but it has a good reason.
Oh no. Next time you're running from stray dogs again. Redsin, what about you?
Yeah, actually, I probably would prefer the centralized exchange as well. I mean, for me, if I don't have a backup, then it doesn't make sense to have it there, right? I mean, in this hypothetical scenario, it is also we could just transfer it out, right? But yeah, but if it's a case that we need to hold that asset inside that wallet and we can't do anything about it, yeah, I probably would prefer the centralized exchange because at least that way I have a backup, you know. But it's not like I prefer them as well, as Juan was saying. Like, it's really important for people to understand how to protect themselves and how to do proper custody, because not only then they can blow up, but also we have been seeing a lot of cases of people getting their assets freezed, right, in exchanges. And exchanges, they can do whatever they want. They can say, oh, your assets came from illegal stuff, which normally is actually false, and they can freeze your assets for how much time they want, right? And we have been seeing that with over and over with people, especially with more money in that exchange. So that's why if you have your own setup, your own hardware wallets, and you know how to properly manage your funds, you at least you are safe from this. You are safe from all those exchanges also blowing up.
Okay, Juan, let's say you do have a backup and your
Yeah.
dog still ate your hardware wallet, but you do have a backup. Would you prefer the centralized exchange or the hardware wallet?
No, I think hardware wallet. I'll probably won't have like only one backup, probably 2 or 3 backups in that case.
That's great.
Yeah,
I think you never took the
I
boring
can survive
security
this mode.
classes, but it sounds like you did.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I can survive if the dog eats the hardware wallet. That's no big issue in this case.
Okay, Redson, I have one final question on this topic for you. So we see that self-custody, it's a responsibility, and it's like a trade-off, obviously. Like for some people, like they are perfectly fine if the money is on a centralized exchange. They might be even better off if the centralized exchange is holding the money for them because they are likely to lose their stuff or whatever. But for newcomers today, like is the hardware wallet or is a hardware wallet still like the default advice that you would give to them, or are like emerging things like a smart wallet, are there something like you look into as well because they have other methods of recovery, etc.?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think right now we have some players trying to do account abstraction, and it's something that still hasn't been 100% covered by the whole ecosystem. So just a few players are doing that, and I do think account abstraction in general is better than what we currently do. But nowadays, I don't think it's the time yet to just say, okay, just do account abstraction everywhere and you're good, because you can't even do that, right? So for now, still the best thing that you can do if you're a newcomer is having a hardware wallet. It can be one that you prefer. I don't have any recommendations. It could be a Ledger, could be a Trezor, could be whatever you really prefer. And yeah, that's actually the first step in taking your security seriously, because the hardware wallet, it's not one solution fits all, right? But it's the first thing that you need to do, so you already stops some of those vectors, some of those attacks. And yeah, without that, nowadays, for people that don't have a hardware wallet, I really feel that they are missing a lot, because at any time they can get drained, right? Because we can't trust software wallets anymore as well, because software wallets they can do whatever they want with the way they generate the keys, the way they generate the seed phrases. We can't really trust on that, and hardware wallets are the only thing right now that we can at least have more confidence and say, okay, if you have a hardware wallet, you are safe from these sort of attacks, right? So yeah, that's my key tip for newcomers.
Yeah, what's also important to state, I think we haven't like hit that explicitly, is that if you are holding your stuff on a centralized exchange, you are not the owner of your keys, so you don't have your keys. So basically, the centralized exchange could do whatever they want with your crypto because they are holding it for you, and you're only like the real owner of your crypto if you have like a hot wallet or a hardware wallet. It doesn't matter really if you have like the self-custody, you have a seed phrase, you have a way to access the funds at any given time, then you are basically like the owner of your own stuff. I think that convenience often like it hides risk, and this is like I think it's a good thing for people to enter the market and be able to play around and do the first steps in crypto. But as soon as you like mature a bit, and as soon as you get like a bit experience in the space, you want to get your funds off a centralized exchange, because at the end of the day, this was what crypto was about, like in the first place. But then again, like if you do self-custody, it requires education, and you have to learn security and be aware of certain things and attack vectors that you might face. Yeah, and I think that's the last question I want to ask you guys today is if there's like one security lesson from this current market cycle or the last year that you saw, what would you like recommend someone who's just joined crypto when it comes down to security? Please don't name a hardware wallet, because we just did that.
Yeah, I would say as a takeaway of this conversation, Security is important when you are growing a brand. This current market might experience like some shutdowns of big partners, of big like exchanges, also of DeFi protocols. The industry right now is, I would say, going over like a lot of layoffs also in different companies in the Web3 space. And also this results in companies shutting down their entire services. So I would say in these cases, if you are like actively having money on like a DeFi protocol that you don't know if it's going to survive, better just to withdraw your money from that DeFi protocols, put them in others that you trust if you want to have like that risk. And if you don't trust anything, just better to keep to don't have like any shield for a couple months, but keeping your funds safe, because much better to lose, I would say, 3, 4, 5% of shield on your stable coins and different money that you may have there, than lose your entire funds in one big company, big like shutdown of all these different protocols. So yeah, keep your safe and take a closer look at the market, because that will also provide you visibility of when you can take more risks on this side of things.
Yeah.
Minan, how about you?
Yeah, so I think we talked a lot in how to protect your funds, like hardware wallets, removing money from things that you may think can blow up. But something that I think is as important is protect your own accounts, your own social media accounts, your own Telegram, Discord, all of those accounts, because protecting yourself also will protect other people. Because we've been seeing over and over people getting scammed, not because of because they did something wrong, but actually because someone else did something wrong, and because they did something wrong, a new vector was created, and scammers use that vector to scam on other people. So protecting yourself, protecting your accounts also will protect others that are around you, and especially people that you normally talk with and you interact with. So that's why I say keep up with all the trends of all the scam trends. They normally follow the same pattern, but so here and there they change a few things. Like now Telegram is booming with scams, with Zoom scams. A year ago we were trending with Twitter scams, and maybe 2-3 years ago we were booming with Discord scams, and so understanding exactly what are the vectors that our scammers are using the most right now is also really important when you're just joining the space. Because if you don't come from Web3, the amount of attacks, the amount of people trying to scam you is just overwhelming, to be honest. So
Yeah,
this is something
it's
that you need
insane.
to do. It's insane.
Like if you're on LinkedIn, for example, you might get like a DM once a year or something where something is trying to sell you something fishy or whatever. But in Web3, it's like
all the time, yeah,
all day, every day.
and scammers are even going to places like LinkedIn as well and trying to scam you there. So yeah, understanding how to protect your social media accounts and understanding the vectors, I think, are also great points.
Don't trust, verify. I'd say don't trust, verify. Thank you guys for the time. It was an awesome episode. Redson, you said in the beginning like you want to be on one more time someday, and I guess we're gonna repeat that because like 55 minutes they flew by today. Very nice talking to you guys. Thank you for taking the time. We usually do when we wrap up the show like an international goodbye, so I'm doing the German line. So you guys might chime in with yours, and I'm saying thank you for taking the time again. Thank you everyone for listening in today, and auf Wiedersehen, bis zum nächsten Mal.
Tchau, pessoal. Boa tarde.
Awesome. Nos vemos. Muchas gracias.
Bye bye.